Hey everyone, so many of you have probably heard about the news around this new GST rebate for first-time homebuyers. So apparently you can save up to $50,000. That's a pretty significant amount of savings, and that's why I wanted to bring this to your attention so that we can understand exactly what this means for you. So in this video, I'm going to break down how this rebate works, who qualifies for it, and how you can fully take advantage of it. Hi there, for those new to my channel, welcome. I'm Sonia Ramgobin, realtor with RE/MAX, servicing the Durham region and the GTA. And as always, my hope is that these videos keep you informed and help you navigate the real estate market with confidence. So starting May 27th, 2025, the Government of Canada has introduced this new GST rebate that could save first-time homebuyers up to $50,000. So here's what you need to know. So the 5% federal GST will be waived on the purchase of newly built homes. So not resale, only new builds. Also, this rebate is only for first-time home buyers. And finally, it applies only to homes under a certain price limit. So that's what this rebate is all about in a nutshell. But let's break down this further so that we fully understand all of this in detail. So with that being said, who qualifies for this new GST rebate? Well, as I mentioned earlier, to be eligible for this rebate, you must be a first-time home buyer. So what does that mean? So in order to be a first-time home buyer, number one, you must be at least 18 years old. Number two, you must be a Canadian citizen or a permanent resident. And number three, you and or your spouse or common law partner must have not owned a home in the past 4 years. So for example, if you owned a home in the past and then you sold it, and now currently you've been renting, let's say you've been renting for the past 5 years, then in this type of situation, you would still qualify for this rebate. So if you meet these requirements as a first-time buyer, you've passed the first step of being eligible for this rebate, but there's more. So the next requirement is that this rebate only applies if you're buying a home to be your primary residence. So in other words, a home that you actually plan on living in. So if you're buying a property as an investment, so you're gonna end up renting it out, this rebate will not apply to you. And finally, the last requirement is that this rebate only applies if you're buying a brand new home from a builder or if you're building your own home from the ground up. So if you're wanting to buy a resale home, for example, meaning one that's already been lived in, this GST rebate does not apply. So now that we know who qualifies for this rebate, let's break down how much you can actually save. If the home you purchased is valued at $1 million or less, you get 100% rebate on the GST. So that is the full 5%, which could be a savings of up to $50,000, depending on the purchase price of the property. Now, if the home you purchase is between $1 million and $1.5 million, you will still get a rebate, but at a lesser amount. So for example, a $1.25 million home would get a 50% rebate, so that's about $25,000 in saving. However, if the home you purchase cost $1.5 million or more, you will not get any rebate. So in other words, you are not eligible for this rebate offer. Now, if you're building your own home, how does this work? So if you are building your own home or hiring a builder to do it for you, you can still qualify for the GST rebate, but there's one key requirement. So that is that the home must be your primary resident, meaning you have to be the first person to live in it once it's finished. So as long as you're building the home to live in, you are eligible. Now, here's how the rebate actually works in this type of scenario. So you can get up to $50,000 back from the GST you paid on stuff like building materials, so like lumber or drywall, and services such as plumbing, electrical work, or contractor fees, for example. So in simple terms, this rebate helps make building your first home more affordable by refunding a portion of the taxes that you've already paid. So now that we've covered who qualifies and how much rebate you would be entitled to, let's go over a few important limitations that you're going to want to keep in mind. So number one, you can only use this rebate once in a lifetime. Number two, if your spouse or partner has already claimed the rebate, then unfortunately you can't claim it again, even if you personally haven't used it. So this rule applies because the rebate is only available once per household, not per person. So if either you or your spouse or common law partner has already used it, you're not eligible again. Finally, number three, if your purchase agreement, you bought a home before May 27, 2025, but for whatever reason, the paperwork gets changed or rewritten after May 27th, and you won't qualify for this rebate because the rule is clear that the original purchase agreement date matters, not when it's updated. So there it is. This is how this rebate works. I'm curious to know your thoughts. Do you think this rebate is actually helpful? Personally, in my opinion, I think any savings is a win, right? Especially with the current home prices right now. For first-time buyers, a savings of up to $50,000 back could help cover things like closing costs, legal fees, moving expenses, or it can even just give you some breathing room financially, right? However, with that being said, I am not a fan of the limitations. And the biggest one being is that it only applies to new construction, which can be sometimes more expensive in some cases or harder to find, especially in some areas. So while the rebate is a great incentive, it does limit your options, in my opinion, especially if you were to find a more affordable resale home, which kind of makes it a little bit of a letdown for some buyers. I hope this video was informative. I hope it was helpful. I've also added a link in the description box that will take you directly to the official Government of Canada website, where you can find all the details and updates about this rebate if you want to learn more. If you found this video helpful, don't forget to like, subscribe, and share with anyone that might benefit from this information. Thank you guys again so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.